everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new tutorial. I'm going to be bringing you some inspiration using new Make Merry products from Simon Says Stamp's latest collection. This particular card is an interactive pull tab slider. Many of you are familiar with the penny slider cards, but this is a little bit of a twist on the usual penny slider, and that's because I wanted a little bit more control on my slider itself. So, by adding a simple pull tab, we're going to create that effect. Here is the Santa's Sleigh Ride Slider set. This is a stamp set that I designed for the Simon Says Stamp Make Merry release. I've already pre-stamped and colored my images because the main focus of today's video is making the slider card. So I wanted to just quickly let you know that I colored the images with Copic markers and I didn't do anything fancy. I just did some simple basic coloring, and you could use whatever coloring mediums you prefer to color in your images. Let's start on building the night sky that we're going to have our slider attached to. We're going to take a piece of Surf Blue cardstock, and I'm going to use some Simon Says Stamp inks in both Surf Blue and Soft Navy to create a blended background. This beautiful Surf Blue cardstock looks amazing when you use it as the base for your ink blending. To do that, I'm blending the Surf Blue ink first towards the center of the panel. However, I'm not going completely to the center of this cardstock. Instead, I'll stop just short of it, and then I'll bring in Soft Navy, and I'll blend that around the edges. Once I have the Soft Navy blended in, I'll come back with some Surf Blue and blend out the lines. This is going to create a really beautiful seamless blend. And one of the things I love about Simon inks is that they really smooth out once they dry. We're going to also use the Large Falling Snow Slimline Stencil, which is from a Simon Says Stamp previous release, but perfect for all sorts of snowy backgrounds. I'm going to tape my ink blended panel onto the stencil and use some embossing paste to transfer through my stencil. This is going to create a really cool textured snowy sky, and I really love how this paste just pops off of these blue colors. I'm applying the paste with a palette knife, and I'm going to leave it on fairly thick, which will take a little bit of time to dry, but I really love the dimension that this provides. So after I've smoothed that out, I'll put away the excess, and then I'll lift the stencil off to reveal the snowy background. And then I'm going to take my stencil and my palette knife over to a sink and clean them up so that the paste doesn't dry on them. Now we're ready to start decorating our snowy hillside and our Santa slider. I decided to use Nuvo Glitter Drops. This is the White Blizzard color, and I'm coloring over the snowy areas of my little hillside, and I'm also going to add a little bit to the Santa sleigh to create a beautiful glittery finish. I also used glossy accents to cover the windows of each of the houses and the church. I think this is a great way to add some shine and dimension to something like this. Now I'm bringing in the slider track. There are two tracks. I chose the arced track, and I'm going to tape this down onto my panel and run this through my die cut machine to cut that little track out. This way I can then put my pennies behind that track, and this is what's going to make our sleigh move across the sky. I'm putting foam tape on the backside of my little house scene, and I'll nestle that along the bottom portion of my card. Now we're ready to bring in the sleigh. The sleigh is of course going on the track, and I need to create a tab to pull this slider across the scene. I chose a circle die that I had from a Simon Says Stamp circle die set, and I'll cut that from red cardstock. This will get adhered to the reindeer, and that will allow me to then pull the reindeer across the sky. I did add the word pull just by writing that out onto the cardstock, and now I'm assembling the track for my pennies. I'm going to go ahead and cut small pieces of foam tape. This will then nestle on the sides to keep the pennies from sliding past the end of the card, and I'm also making sure not to put the foam tape too close to where the pennies will end up being when they run across this track. So I'm leaving a good amount of space, somewhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch of space around each side of the track. This will make sure that everything runs smoothly. I'm bringing in 2 pennies here for this image, and I'm going to go ahead and put little pieces of foam tape on the back side of the pennies, which will then fit into the track. I'm going to cut really teeny tiny pieces, so that way I know they won't get impeded by the track itself. So you want to make sure that the foam tape that you're cutting is narrower than the track that you have cut out into your card. The penny is also, of course, bigger than the track, so nothing is ever going to fall out of this card. Before we put the Santa sleigh onto our pennies, I did attach the pull tab to the reindeer with a bit of double-sided tape. You want something strong since this will get pulled on frequently. And now we're ready to attach the sleigh and the reindeer to the pennies. So I put one side of this image attached to one of the pennies, and then the other penny will go onto the other side of the image. Now, when you're creating a slider, no matter what kind of image you have, if you have two pennies, this will keep your image aligned perfectly so that it doesn't roll around as it slides across the card. And that's why I called this a variation to a penny slider, because this is a pull tab penny slider. I'm going to attach this panel onto a surf blue card base. This really accents the surf blue colors in the night sky. A sentiment from that same Santa Sleigh Ride slider added along that same arc line as the slider track. Looks really cool. And here is that finished slider. See how if I pull this across, I can control how the image is moving across my scene? I just love it. This is such a fun set to work with. I'm really excited with how it turned out, and I hope you love it as much as I have enjoyed not only designing it, but also creating with it too. If you want to see more details on this card, please be sure to head on over to my blog. And if you want to participate in a Make Merry Release blog hop that is happening right now, be sure to head on over to my blog for that information also. You can find links to my blog and all the products used down in the video description below. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will be back again very soon with more to share. And until next time, I hope you make lots of merry.